What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 218 of the Hoots podcast. I am your special guest host this week, Brother Carter. I am the host with the most, holding it down from coast to coast, smooth as the butter that you put on your toast. Shout out to Money Flipping Matt Richards for that. We've already started. We haven't even been recording for 30 seconds, and already my cohort is unimpressed. But Matt Richards from HQ Trivia uses that all the time. I had to borrow it because I thought it would be wonderful for this special time that I get to host the Hoots podcast this week. Thrilled to be able to do it. You can follow me on Twitter at Derek Stoughton. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dericho06. Be sure to check out my work on WrestlingRumors.net, some articles that I do there and all that kind of good stuff. Thrilled to be here and to be able to host this wonderful platform this week. I am not alone, of course. I am joined by the good brother of all good brothers, the podcast messiah, the one who brings the greater good of wrestling media to all of the masses, the one, the only, Brother Adam, Josh Lopez. Josh, what's going on, my friend?
Brother Carter, glad to be in your presence as always. Thank you, everybody, who continues to listen to this fine extravaganza that is the podcast that Hoots. It's been a very interesting couple of weeks on my end. After 3 years, you kind of realize after a while that people are just full of their own shit, that you can't let that be a reflection on yourself, you know. Also, I'm sitting here, I'm recording the show here in not my studio apartment, as Colt Cabana would say on his podcast, but I am in Chicago, Illinois, everybody's favorite city to crap on if you're a political news network. And we got a guy who's from Chicago and Kanye West running for president. We got sports radio hosts analyzing baseball games like it's a life or death NFL game, which I don't understand. And also, you learn something new every week, ladies and gentlemen, like even things you wouldn't expect. We all always hear the phrase, it's a small world. One person, the whole thing being a small world and stuff like that. But what I didn't realize as I was scrolling through my Facebook feed the other day, and, you get little weather updates, you get stuff for your news network just to see what's going on with your city. And lo and behold, I saw something called the Storm of Dericho. Now, the writing was different. I had to say that first, but you still could pronounce it the same way, or Dericho, or
I think it's Dericho. I don't know.
Dericho. I don't know. Dericho, Geico, all of the above. But how about this? Brother Carter has the unique power of wind. Not only wind of talking here on the show, but actually affecting weather and rain. It was a horrible rain that went here on Monday, and it looked like it came from Colorado. And it just, people were losing power. People didn't have internet. People didn't have televisions, all because the storm of Dericho. Get your umbrellas out, man.
Yeah. Listen. You don't mess with the storm of Dericho, because the storm of Dericho will huff and puff and blow your city down. Kind of like Lance Stevenson blew in LeBron's ear.
Oh my God. That's a good throwback. I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah.
The wind is so strong that you forget where you are, kind of like J.R. Smith during the NBA Finals game.
Nice. Nicely done.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo. Man, speaking of sports, crazy sports week. Did you see the 5 overtime hockey game?
Yes, I did. That was very entertaining.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the Columbus Blue Jackets goalie, I forget his name, stopped like 85 shots. It was just crazy.
If it wasn't for Alexa Bliss, I would forget that Columbus still had a NHL hockey team.
That's right. I know. It's because you don't think of Columbus as a NHL city, but
no,
and they're doing well. I mean, they have a good franchise. They got some good stuff going on, but it's all good. But Josh, we've got a busy show this week. We have lots to talk about. We're going to talk some sports here in just a little bit before we get into the wrestling talking this week. We're going to get into this week in WWE. We've got a lot to talk about from SmackDown and Raw, both wonderful shows. Raw particularly, I thought, was a great show this week. So we have lots to dissect from that. Josh is going to break down NXT for us. He's also going to give us a recap of New Japan and Impact from this week, so I'm excited about that. Then, because it was Tag Team Appreciation Night, and I'm using air quotes right now when I say Tag Team Appreciation Night,
right?
AEW, Josh and I are going to have a little tag team debate ourselves, and that should be a lot of fun. And then we're going to get into our favorite segment of the week. So full show, much to discuss. I think it's going to be great. But Josh, I want to start with some sports news of the week. Yeah. And I think that the topic that has really taken over the sports world, at least in my opinion, and maybe this is just because I'm a follower of this, but the Big Ten and Pac-12 have announced that they will not be playing college sports this fall due to the coronavirus pandemic. And actually, Josh, the Big Ten is up in your area. You know, the that part of the country there. So, and I know that whole area has been affected by the coronavirus pandemic, and but we're still waiting to hear from the Big 12 and the SEC and the ACC what they're going to do. As of now, they're all planning to play. I just have this hunch they're going to get started and then realize, wait a minute, we can't do this, and then shut this thing down. So. And, here's my thought on this, Josh. And Matt and I actually talked about this, and I know how Matt feels about this issue. By the way, be sure to check out Matt and Referee Tony on the TBD Wrestling Podcast. They do great work there. You definitely want to check out their work. It's always great. And it's always a good time when Matt and I are together on this particular program. We always have interesting debates. And I think we're going to have one soon about a certain AEW performer, but that's going to be for another time. But in all seriousness, Josh, it's really frustrating, and I'm sad for the players, and I'm sad for the small towns or the college towns where these college sports generate a lot of revenue from people coming to town. But I hate it because it sucks. But it is the right thing to do. I really believe that, and I know Matt and I disagree on that. But in my opinion, it is the right thing to do because these conferences went to their medical experts, and the medical experts said, you can't do this without a huge risk of players getting hurt, players getting injured, players getting sick, potentially catastrophic things down the road. And I understand where the president, and listen, I'm a college sports fan. Like college football and college basketball are my two favorite sports. And I watch all the shows on them. I love them. I live for March Madness. I was heartbroken when March Madness didn't happen last year. Josh.
Do you know who Jordan Cornette is?
Is he a relation to a certain wrestling promoter named Jim Cornette?
No. I'm glad you asked that, though. No, the only reason I'm bringing this up because Jordan Cornette is the basketball analyst on ESPN for college basketball. He played, I think, in Notre Dame for a while back in the early 2000s. Anyways, I was reading this up because I saw a tweet that he put out the other day about just how fortunate it is for all these athletes. This is all their life. It's not like, okay, now I want to play sports after they're done with high school. Like these athletes, especially football players, have been playing since they're like 7 or 8 years old, Pop Warner leagues, all that fun stuff. That's the thing about life where you think you're on one path and it throws you in another completely direction. It's sad, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the other thing we have to remember for these college athletes is that 99% of them are not going to play pro. 99% of them are not going to go to the NFL, to the NBA, to the NHL, all these Major League Baseball. They're not. And so for them to not get to play, and they just want to do it because they love their school, and they have a scholarship which pays for them to go to school, which is all terrific. So it really sucks for those kids, and I get it, and the NCAA is just an absolute dumpster fire, and they have 120% mishandled this. There is no leadership. They have no idea. They can't control what's going on at these schools. They haven't said anything. They just say, all right, you guys do what you want. We're just going to sit back here and collect money and all that stuff. So I hope that this leads to the downfall of the NCAA. and that the NCAA goes, or at least everybody up top gets fired, shifted, and because they've completely mishandled this, and sent to the realm of deletion. Yes, but never come back. So anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this and get your thoughts on that, because it is the big sports news of the week, and it sucks. Well, and the other thing that's frustrating to me, Josh, is that every part of the country is handling it differently. People in different part of the country is like, oh, it's going to be fine. Yeah, don't even worry about it. And they talked about this on First Take yesterday. How did the same medical experts who say medical experts don't change, the science doesn't change depending on what part of the country you're in.
Yeah.
People in the South, and I spent 20 years in the South. I mean, people, and I love the South. And don't get me wrong, but people in the South, human beings are not different in the South than they are in the North. Viruses don't affect humans in the North differently than they do in the South. So I just can't.
Isn't that similar from somebody being the same person if you're normal or if you're recovering or?
That's right. I wonder what that. Yeah, absolutely.
Let me get on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I was talking to Matt about this the other day. Like you said, I don't keep tabs fully on college sports. Like my favorite college teams are Northwestern teams, and the only reason I say that because my mom worked out there by Wilmette in the Skokie area. That's where Ryan Field. That's where the Wildcats play.
Right. Beautiful campus. My goodness, that's a beautiful campus.
Tremendous. Yes,
yeah.
I played a high school football game there before, which was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Anyways, like I was been a big Northwestern fan, and I was like their purple and black colors. Those are my two favorite colors. Obviously, me and the Undertaker mark. But also, I saw Matt
worked out well for you.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I was telling Matt this the other day. It's bad when you make Roger Goodell look like a competent leader.
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. You're right, because Goodell is just like, no, we can't push back. We've controlled this thing. We've made it work. Well, and it's different, Josh, because, you're comparing professionals to amateurs. The professionals can play because, look, you signed up for this. Like, we are paying you $40 million to do this. So you're going to do it. But they've also controlled it. And, these people, the pros, they don't have to worry about going to class. They don't have to worry about. All they have to worry about is playing their sport. So if they need to do it in a bubble, fine. Just do it in a controlled environment so it can happen. With college students, it's a bit different because they're not. And again, they talk about this on the sports shows too. It's like, well, if you try to control the college students, you're then telling them that they're employees, and then all of a sudden they have to get compensated, and it's just a whole legal mess that you don't want to, a rabbit trail you don't want to run down.
The NCAA is a joke, and honestly, for me, I'm exhausted and just done trying to rationalize what is and what's not with the coronavirus. We're almost in the middle of August, and we're still having debates whether people should wear a mask or not, and that should tell you everything you need to know. Like you were just saying, people are delusional to their own reality. They'll put off anything that doesn't fit in what their narrative is or what they want or whatever politician they get in their knees for. It's just embarrassing. Like, put a mask on. Let's get this stupid shit over with. I've already known people that's dealt with this thing, and it's unfortunate. And like you said, it's unavoidable. Just because you're in fucking Louisiana or Mississippi doesn't mean you can't get it in New Jersey or God knows where else in the country. It's not invisible or immune to any person on planet Earth. And I'm done trying to rationalize this. I've heard people say, "Oh, the virus is going to go away before the election." The virus is gonna. It's a whole ruse for Trump to make himself look better for the political run. Again, all of this stuff, I really don't care because I'm not into politics. I'm not on either side of the fence. But you can't deny the fact that politics play a lot into these college sports too, and nobody brings that up either because the same universities that want to play college football right now are probably throwing this off like it's no big deal. Oh, the Max not gonna affect everybody. We can find a way to you do this right, but it's a lose-lose situation because NCAA has always made themselves look idiotic over years with their stupid rules. They're handling with the Joe Paterno sex outbreak that happened at Penn State. It's just a horrible organization, and it sucks for the NFL. Now they can't properly recruit who they want to draft for next year. That's another factor in this, which is really hard.
Absolutely.
And what point do we get to like, oh, we're not going to have an NFL season? I don't know. And it's just so tiring with this because I thought there'd be some progress, but nobody can give you any accurate point of view of where we are and where we're going. And that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, no, Josh, you're 100% right. And I believe that the NFL is going to have a season because, again, they're professionals and they'll find a way to make it work. I mean, that's their livelihood. So there's less that they have to worry about besides just playing football. So I think that they will make that work. But yeah, Josh, I agree with you. I mean, you've got the NFL is not going to move their draft because they've got to get ready for their season. And, certain players are probably going to opt out to play in the spring, and I would too, if they have to move their seasons to the spring. I 100%, I wouldn't play either because I've got to get ready for the NFL draft. If I know I'm going to get drafted, then of course I'm going to, go get ready for that, of course. So it's just a big mess right now. And again, I just feel really bad for those players and for their families and all that kind of good stuff. But, it is the reality of the situation is the reality is, I remember what I wanted to say, Josh. Anybody that says, and I haven't talked about this on the show yet, but I figured why not? We're at a good time as any. Anybody who says that the coronavirus isn't real, doesn't exist, I have firsthand experience to know that it's real because I actually had it in July, and I don't know, and I know I've talked a little bit about this before, Josh, but I actually had COVID-19. I tested positive for it, the whole deal. I got sick. I had to. It's real, folks, and I feel fine now. I've completely recovered. I'm no longer contagious. Thank you. It's thank you. I appreciate that. I just got sick for 2 weeks and now I feel fine. My body developed the antibodies and I'm good. I've talked to the medical people here in Colorado and I'm fine. All is good, but it's real. And I couldn't hear, there was a few days where I couldn't taste anything or smell anything. There was, I got hot and cold, shivers and shakes and coughing and stuff like that. So COVID is real. It is out there. Wear your mask, folks. That's how we stop this thing. So,
right.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, the big sports news of the week, and all is good. So, any final thoughts on that, Josh?
NCAA, you shall be rendered obsolete.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. They need to send the NCAA to the lake of reincarnation for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, let's get into some wrestling talk because we say here on the Hoots podcast that we are a life podcast that happens to just focus on the world of professional wrestling. And that's what we're going to do. Go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of that, I have some thoughts later on as far as like relationships at the end. It's kind of like a spoken word thing, but I'll say it if you go ahead, brother Carter.
All right. Well, let's get into some wrestling this week. And Josh, I want to start with SmackDown and everything that happened with SmackDown. I thought SmackDown was a pretty good show this week. There was definitely some controversy with the ending of SmackDown this week and a controversial angle that has begun. Well, it's a new angle, I guess. I don't know if it's controversial.
Oh, because it's a new thing and they're trying something new, people have to be in their feelings about it, right? That's where we're going with here.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going with that. But again, I by and large, Josh, I enjoyed SmackDown this week. I thought there was some great matches. I mean, certainly superstars are continuing to emerge. And there's some new stuff going on that closed the show. But Josh, starting with you, what were your overall takes from SmackDown this week, and what stood out to you on the show?
I thought the show was pretty solid this week. I like the little threads they're having now, where they're having Bray Wyatt start off the show at the Firefly Funhouse. I think that's pretty cool. the matches for what it was, I thought were pretty good as well. You know, you had Matt Riddle and Sheamus. I thought that was a really good match there. There was a good thread of the show where still things hover around a SmackDown outside Retribution is this King's Ransom that King Corbin has for Matt Riddle. So as opposed to going into the standardized Teddy Long special when disqualifications happen or people interfere, Chad Gable came out to attack Matt Riddle. That caused a disqualification. He was trying to help out King Corbin. That didn't end well in his favor. And then Sheamus is yelling at King Corbin in the backstage area. And, you know, for me, I am kind of old school where it should be more good guys versus bad guys. Exceptions are for heels and people who are just badasses. I can make an exception for that. But I thought it was the right thing for having King Corbin and Sheamus fight each other later on that night because that's really the issue there. And, you know, probably tomorrow as we record this on a Thursday, they'll probably do Corbin and Sheamus against Riddle and Chad Gable. I'm not in Orlando. I don't read spoilers. I'm not into that stuff anymore. But that'll probably be the next logical thing I would probably see for the show tomorrow. But yeah, I just really like the threads and the matches that were placed on the show instead of having cold matches for the sake of having a match on television.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Josh. And excuse me, I think the flow worked really well. Like you could understand why the heel went after the heel, you know. So I thought that was really good. And much like you, I kind of like when they blur the lines. Not really blur the lines, but when you have some tweeners going on, you know, and he's like heel's like, what the hell, man? Like, and like it's legit beef, and it's not just one of those, what are you doing? You know, things where the heel makes a mistake and they get mad at each other for a little bit. But so no, right. I really like that. And I say this every week, Josh, but I mean, Matt Riddle is a superstar in every way, shape, or form. I think you could print money on with Matt Riddle. Like, I think he's got a great look. He's great in the ring. I love his entrance theme. I know I talk about that a lot, but
can you make money with this?
Of course you can. Josh is doing the hand moving thing where he's moving in time there. But no, I mean, Matt Riddle is awesome. I can't wait to see it when fans come back and how they react to him. So I thought that was absolutely great. Let's see. What else did I like? I mean, the Lucha House Parties had a couple of good matches these past couple of weeks. So that's been cool. You had Grand Metalik last week with 2 weeks ago with AJ Styles. And then Lince Dorado getting a shot at Cesaro, which I thought was great. It looks like we're going to get Lince Dorado or the Lucha House Party are going to challenge Cesaro and Nakamura for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. It looks like that's where we're going, and that's fine. That'll probably be a kickoff show match at SummerSlam. I'm still waiting for Nakamura to break out, and I know I feel like a lot of these things, Josh, I say every week, but I'm still waiting for Nakamura to just come back and be a face again and just be the badass that I know he can be. For the longest time, Nakamura is my favorite wrestler. I still think he's still one of my favorite wrestlers in the company. He's charismatic, incredible in the ring. So I'm still waiting for that.
I wonder if Nakamura would still be a heel if crowds were still around.
Probably, because they can make it that way because of his stupid entrance music, the stupid remix to his entrance theme.
For real.
It's awful. I hate it.
You know, I saw Brianna Alvarez moaning about Miz and Morrison's dirt sheet segment. How ironic of that, by the way. He's moaning about Miz and Morrison and their humor, I guess. I'll admit, I mean, Miz and Morrison are doing a lot of Miz TVs and stuff, and I like to see them wrestle a little bit more. Like, I really enjoyed the match Miz had with Big E last week. I thought that was really good, and I like to see more for John Morrison. But I don't know. They had the dirt sheet segment this week, and Sonya Deville's a guest. And every time I hear Sonya Deville talk, I feel like I'm hearing my older sister talk. So that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Yes. But they had the whole thing with Mandy's hair as a special guest.
Yes, dude. I mean, there's a reason why she's God's greatest creation. I mean, that short hair, she's still just looking banging, dude.
Good waterfall is good waterfall. Soccer mom hair or no soccer mom hair.
That's right. And she's back with a vengeance, and I loved it. I want to see more out of them. I don't know if we're going to get a special one-on-one match at SummerSlam, or I don't know.
I think they should.
I think they should too. But you've got to put a stipulation on it because they've had I don't think you can do a loser shaves their head match. I don't think that would work. I don't know. I don't know what the stipulation is for that.
Oh, absolutely, you could. Well, the thing that wouldn't affect Sonya Deville by losing her hair is the fact that she always prides herself on being a fighter, right?
Right.
So what does it matter if she doesn't have hair anymore?
Right. I guess you could do that. I mean, to me, the more likely option would be, well, no, because they have to both stay on SmackDown because SmackDown needs female superstar power right now. Unfortunately, and that's no fault to the talent there because there's a lot of wonderful talent on that roster, but I think they need just a couple more people to plug into that. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I'm intrigued. I thought that it's great to see Mandy Rose back. I love Sonya Deville. I think that she also has superstar written all over her.
Well, what did you think about Alvarez whining about Miz and Morrison being repetitive with their segments?
I think
that or no. I
think Brian Alvarez. In fact, I have a special place for Brian Alvarez, Josh. And I know you've been waiting for this, but Josh, do you know what happens to people?
Oh no! Yes, please.
Who give outdated and just quite frankly, blatantly wrong wrestling talk? Do you know what happens, Josh? Do you know what happens to people who just bash everything for the sake of ratings, except for the company that they're getting under the table money from? Do you?
Yeah.
You know what happens, Josh? I
have a smidgen of it, yes.
Yes, I have a certain place for them, a place that I have not gone to in quite some time. But we're going to go there because Brian Alvarez, and I'm trying to get super fired up about this, but I'm having a hard time because I can't understand. I don't even think he deserves it, but we're going to do it anyway. Brian Alvarez, Dave Meltzer, anybody else associated with that stupid show, you need to go home and stay home because Brian Alvarez, you just made the list of Dericho. There you go. Thank you very much.
We gotta write it down and everything, man.
Right. This is Dericho. It's been a while, but look, Josh, he's an idiot and he doesn't know what he's talking about. And
yeah,
I just the sad thing is that they have a lot of clout in the world of professional wrestling. So
and that's the problem. Right there. I find it so ass backward that these two schmucks, these two arrogant assholes come on air every single week and propagate this agenda about 18 and 34 being the most important demos ever. You know what? Cool. We're going to get to AEW later on, but them getting on their freaking pom-poms out for them winning the 1834 demo does absolutely nothing for me. Guess why? You should win that demo. Your show is rated TV 14. You want a cookie for that? You don't get extra credit for doing your job. Awesome. Your show is TV 14 and you got good numbers in 1834 demographic. No shit. Look, is that the difference of a good pro wrestling show for a bad pro wrestling show? So because you only could have a good wrestling show if it's TV 14, right? That's where we're going with here.
Josh, we're going to learn everything we need to learn when NXT puts TakeOver on, and it's an incredible show. And then we get All Out, which is going to be, There's only one match at All Out that I really care about right now, and it's because of one performer.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, that performer is not the world champion, which is...
By the way, as we're talking about Meltzer, he's the same guy that said that Jon Moxley's more noticeable mainstream than any of the world champions in WWE, which I thought was absolutely laughable. Hell, Adam Cole in the feud with Pat McAfee's got more mainstream attention than Jon Moxley. What the hell are you talking about?
But yet they have the internet feud. Like, okay, we're gonna move on.
Yeah, we'll say that for later on.
We're gonna move on. Josh, what were your thoughts on probably the most controversial aspect of SmackDown this week? What were your thoughts on Retribution and their debut to end SmackDown this week.
Oh, before we get to Retribution, we have to compliment MILF Waterfall because Stephanie Meek
yes, absolutely.
was on the show last Friday. I like the fact that she's kind of like the foil between Bayley and Sasha, and they're kissing her ass while the segment was going on.
That was great. Josh, real quick, I gotta say, as much as we dog Bayley and Sasha, they really have been doing, especially over the last couple weeks, they've been doing really great work. And their interactions with Stephanie Meek Mahan have been great. Both Bayley and Sasha are playing their characters very, very well. Sasha, especially, her game has risen.
Absolutely.
I think so. As much of a hard time as we give them, deserved or undeserved, they have been doing some credit where credit is due, man. They've been doing some terrific work over the past couple weeks. And like I said, especially Sasha Banks. She's been terrific.
Yeah, it was interesting, like how Stephanie's always wanted to throw another wrench into their relationship, and she was the one that said that we're gonna have this triple brand battle royal to determine Bayley's challenger for SummerSlam. And I understand a lot of people are like, oh, I thought we were just gonna have Bayley and Sasha at SummerSlam. I think with the parameters of what's going on right now, I think we would have that match if the fans were around.
Right.
So,
real quick, Josh, before we get to Retribution, last thing I want to say about that is, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, really quickly. Does the triple brand battle royal effectively end the brand split, for at least in the women's division?
I think the brand split's been ended for the last, 6-7 months, to be honest with you, because for me, I know it was a marketing tool because they're doing NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown for the first time in Survivor Series, but still, you still have people crossing over brands. Charlotte was doing it before WrestleMania. Sasha and Bayley were doing it. I think it could be a mistake before Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows got fired there on NXT before too. So for me, I think the brand split's been done for a while. It's just it hasn't been right up in your face that it's done. The reason why I also say that, you don't have Raw or SmackDown exclusive pay-per-views anymore, know. And I like the concept of women's tag team titles, but it's impossible to do a brand split when you have women's tag team titles like that, and you're gonna have it defended through both brands. So kind of defeats the purpose of it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with all that. But again, so if the brand split is over, then what's the point of having titles on each show? Because if you lose this, if you go over to Raw, let's say, and you lose and you challenge for the Raw Women's Championship or the WWE Championship and you lose, okay, well, now I'm just going to go over to SmackDown and challenge for the title there. Okay, well, I lost there. Okay, well, now I'm going to go to NXT and just challenge for the title there, So, again, if you're going to end the brand split, then what's the point of having separate titles on separate shows?
Well, then you're going to get to the part where people are going to start feeling sorry for themselves on Twitter like FTR did and start asking for the releases because they don't get titles or title shots.
No, you don't get title shots. Well,
you get even more. You get even more lost in the shuffle, like we were talking about last week.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
My thing is like, the brand split. I'm fine either way. If they do a brand split, if they don't, I don't care either way. I'm gonna watch the rest of the show for what it is, but I think there's other talents that are good on SmackDown, and SmackDown Women's Division does have good talents, but they only focus on Bayley and Sasha all the time that you kind of lose on the fact, like, where's Carmella at?
I was thinking that too, man. Like, we haven't seen Carmella for a while, and she's great. She's fantastic.
By the way, I want to make a quick plug for Carmella. She has her Bear With Us podcast that she does with Corey Graves. It's very good. I recommend you guys go check that out. But no, just putting that back together with the whole Stephanie McMahon and Sasha Bayley things, like, I just thought there's some really good stuff there. And it's not to say, oh, Stephanie's going to come out and challenge Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title or whatever, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, let's transition to Retribution. What did you think about Retribution and their debut this week?
It's crazy. We're about almost a week from them showing up. And I'm still trying to fully have a proper grasp of it. I think right now we're too reactionary with what's going on with wrestling. And I've been saying this since we started doing these shows together during quarantine, that you have to throw your old pro wrestling playbook out of the book with these empty arena shows. You can't, having a debut like that, of course, it's going to feel different and weird than, having it in a live crowd.
Right.
I'm sure the performers that are running around the ring and causing all that ruckus and stuff probably would not be those same performers if there was a live crowd. So, look, I don't know what their purpose is. Yeah, they destroy stuff backstage. They destroy stuff at the parking lot. I can't sit here right now and tell you that I love it or I hate it. I don't know what it is. And I think people are rushing to the one rumor report that I saw posted on a Twitter thread about them being a representation of Antifa. I don't get that. I haven't seen that in nor do I think that's where they're going with that. So
no, that wouldn't be smart if that's what they're.
Well, that's the problem with Twitter. They always assume whatever's reported out there is fact, and that's bullshit.
Right.
I haven't seen say that we matter or all this extra stuff making threats towards executives and companies or anything like that. Has Retribution had a Twitter handle? No. Do you know who's in the group? No.
I've heard rumors of who is in the group, and if the rumors who I've heard are true, it actually makes sense, and I actually would be looking forward to it. But I don't know if you want to talk about that or.
We could get to that, but here's my takeaway. I saw a lot of people like, "Oh my god, they're so small. How they could be so threatening? They make too much noises that they're mess shit up." Don't most people do? You don't think people that have been looting here in Chicago be pat each other in the back and all this dumb shit that they're doing? And I'm not making an excuse. I'm just comparing what the situation is here. I don't know what their purpose is. I'm always open to try things out of the box and trying something different. And this can't be the same fan base that whines that WWE doesn't listen to their fans or try something out of the box. And then when they try to do it, it's not to either your liking or your fancy booking scenario. You got to let stuff play out. Do you think everybody loved Nexus when they first came out?
No.
Like, I could bring this up now because this was 10 years ago. It's crazy to think how quick time has gone by like that. But Nexus showed up 10 years ago, and I was a big fan of Nexus.
Yeah.
I had the whole wristband and everything. I love Wade Barrett. He's the man. But my thing is, I'm not at the point where I love it or hate it. I'm just intrigued by it. I want to know what their purpose is, who's talking for them. I'm still kind of holding out hope that Retribution has something to do with the hacker. I've been holding out hope with that. Something's going to show either way at SummerSlam of why they're here and what's going on. So I say I know sometimes WWE doesn't follow the long stories. I understand that, and I can get skepticism here and there. But I like to say, just give it a shot and see what happens before we make assumptions of what it is and what it's not. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, Josh, I agree with you 100%. And when I first saw them come out and do their thing, I thought it was some kind of weird, awkward blend between the Nexus, Aces and Eights, and the NWO. So it's kind of, because you have the Nexus.
The man turn. The man turn.
And then they kind of had this Aces and Eights look to them. Yeah. But then they're using spray paint like the NWO. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm not quite sure where we're going here. But like you said, Josh, go ahead.
Corey Graves would have been a good extra in Matrix. He
Yeah, he bolted there. I know. But no, and you know what I thought was also cool though, Josh, is that they started to involve some of the enhancement talent, some of the trainees. Like they actually gave him a shot, which was cool. So again, much like you, Josh, I don't know what to think right now because I'm just not sure where they're going. But which is good. It gives you a reason to tune in. So
for me, I always been interested in having a effective, like, not organization, but like this, I guess you could say organization that's like destructive, like the mob in a way. I've always been intrigued by that. I've always been into mob movies. I love Departed. I love the movie that Johnny Depp did on I forgot his name. Buddy son, no, there was this Black Mass. There you go.
Yep.
Yes. That movie, like Sopranos, stuff like that. I always been interested in a mob group and see if that could actually work. If I was in wrestling and I was either in creative or I had a chance to be like a manager or a commentator, like I would like to be like the head of a mob or something, like a hitman squad. And you have people that are small and try to cause chaos and they get tossed aside. That's just the art of war, you know? Mm-hmm. Those are not the main members of Retribution. We don't know that yet. Right. So I'm willing to give him the shot. And look, I want to give props to another company who does kind of similar group, but not to this. MLW has a group called Contra Unit. And it's very mob-esque and has Samoan ties. I think Rikishi's nephew, Jacob Fatu's in the faction. They have this guy named Joseph Samuel who does the promos for Contra Unit. And you guys go check it out on YouTube on MLW. Just type in Hail Contra. That's their slogan. Hail Contra. And then they got this like really cool like Samoan tribe music as they're flashing the graphics. It's really cool. I really recommend you guys go check that on YouTube. Hail Contra. And, if WWE could pull off a mob style faction or just a hit squad, I think it would be really cool actually.
Yeah, no, like I said, and I'm intrigued by it, and we will definitely see where we go over the next little while. Okay, we gotta switch gears, Josh, and let's move over to Raw this week, and I'll get things started with this. I thought Raw was a terrific show this week from top to bottom. Really stellar storytelling, promos, in-ring action. I was very happy with Raw this week, and I'm gonna jump right in here and just start right from the very top. I will give credit where credit is due. Dominic Mysterio can take a beating, man. Holy cow, that was... They beat the hell out of him with kendo sticks, and he took it like a champ. Mm-hmm. So props to Dominic Mysterio for that. You can tell he's young. You can tell he's a little nervous. You know, I thought his promo with Rollins was obviously Samoa Joe was there to kind of help, you know, carry Dominic along, getting into their SummerSlam feud. But I thought Dominic did his part really well. It was nice to see the evil Buddy Murphy return. That was great, and then they both beat the hell out of Dominic Mysterio with kendo sticks. So I really enjoyed that, and I'll let you elaborate more on that, Josh, once we get into it, because I know you're a big Seth Rollins guy, and I'm looking forward to their match very much. I think that that's going to all be very, very, very good. I was hoping we would get more from Zelina Vega and Bianca Belair this week. I wish they would have let them go a little bit longer because I know how talented they are. I know why the match was the length it was, and kind of that whole they're just building towards.
I thought those match was longer for how I felt transcribing it. I don't know. Maybe you fast forward it.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe for some reason I thought that it didn't go as long as that. And maybe it's just me. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to say, okay, my bad. Yeah. But obviously we're building towards the Street Profits and
Andrade
and Angel Garza getting into SummerSlam. I'll send in my predictions next week when we have our prediction show next week. But so I like the storyline. Like I said, I hope we get Montez Ford back. I bet they won't. I bet they keep Montez Ford off TV until SummerSlam, which I think is the right thing to do. Have him return. Also, I hope that this match is not on the pre-show and they put this match on the actual card, because I think that that's the build to it has been good enough that you can have that. So that's really, really terrific. let's see. I mean, what else can you say? Again, the Hurt Business is outstanding, and I'm really looking forward to that match with Apollo Crews. That's going to be great. Let's see. Again, there's a lot of great stuff this week. Retribution made their. I'm going to let you talk about Raw Underground, Josh, when we get there. And then you said this week, Josh, and you've been saying this for a while. And the closing segment of Raw convinced this for me. Randy Orton is the best in the business right now. When you said he is the MVP, this final week segment of Raw confirmed that for me. His match with Kevin Owens was stellar. I mean, no surprises there. Stellar. And then Randy Orton cuts a scathing promo from Ric Flair. Props to Ric Flair too, man. Like his acting in that was absolutely tremendous as well. Yeah. And then the punt to Ric Flair. I like how I know people are probably going to dog this, but I like how the lights went out right as Randy Orton punted Ric Flair. I actually like that because it keeps Ric Flair safe, adds to the retribution angle, and Ric Flair's a good enough actor that he can just play that off really well. So that was just absolutely stellar. So top to bottom, Josh, I thought Raw was absolutely terrific. Bayley and Asuka had a terrific match as well. No surprises there. So I just loved Raw this week, Josh, from top to bottom. But I've talked about, I want to get your thoughts on this. I also want to get your thoughts on Raw Underground and kind of how that's all going. But Josh, talk to me about Raw this week. What did you think about Raw this week?
I thought top to bottom, this was the best Monday Night Raw of the year so far. Like you said, I thought the show flew well. Starting off with the opening segment, I've been saying this since the cows go home that Seth Rollins is doing the best character heel work right now outside of Randy Orton in the WWE. Leave whatever Seltzer and Mick Alvabitch says every single week about him. Like Seth Rollins is the man. Like hearing the promo he cut while hitting Dominic with the kendo sticks, and he's talking to Ray. Hey Ray, I know you're watching at home. Beg for mercy for your son. All that stuff. I thought it was tremendous. And Samoa Joe's been a nice filter through this whole stuff with Dominic, and Samoa Joe's like, "Where's the real Seth freaking Rollins?" Hey man. The bubble turned on Seth Rollins. Now that's why he's the Messiah, and I'm really happy for Seth because he got so much unwarranted shit last year that was so ridiculous. So I'm happy for him as a person and as a performer, and he's killing it right now. He's been killing it since WrestleMania, going into his feud with Kevin Owens. I'm really excited to see what they do here with Dominic. I thought it was a good choice that they're making it a no disqualification match. So he's any slip ups, but hey, Seth Rollins can wrestle Bruce, so I'm not really concerned about whether the match is going to be good or not. Hey, he did say he is the best wrestler of his generation. So,
and Josh, I want to real quick. I agree with that because that also keeps Dominic Mysterio safe. It's an easy way to just ease him in, and obviously Seth Rollins is going to make him look like $1 million. Like I said that on last week's show, so it's going to be great. But yeah, no, I agree with the no disqualification match. I think that's very safe and a very smart move.
Yes, give it up, folks, for the Messiah, man. He's. I hope that the performers that are at ringside watching this can take notes from what Seth Rollins has been doing promo wise. And I remember it started before WrestleMania. It was Kevin Owens had a match with somebody, and Seth Rollins came out, and he had the suit and tie on. And I remember nobody was there. I remember you had nobody at ringside at that time, and I have to find this promo again, but it was gold. It was like they were talking about who had the better run in NXT, and Rollins saying that if it wasn't for him, the Performance Center would not be around. And you look back at the history of WWE the last 7 to 10 years, Seth Rollins has been there and made things happen before anybody. He was the first NXT champion. He was with the Shield. He was the first guy to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania and win the title in the main event. Seth Rollins is already having a Hall of Fame resume, and I think that because so many people were upset over what he said about Jon Moxley and the fact that one of the performers in WWE would like to kind of debunk common misperceptions of the WWE. God forbid somebody actually enjoys working there, because the narrative always has to be, oh, they're holding everybody back. But here's a current talent who's one of the best wrestlers in the world. But when he compliments WWE, he's a shill. And I know the common discussion is WWE sucks, everything they do is wrong, and that's that. And it's like a shocking moment, like you're amazed when they do something good or a long-term story. Seth Rollins is awesome. Okay, I get it. It wasn't ideal for me either. I was with Adam when we saw the Seth Rollins Bray Wyatt thing at Hell in the Cell. I was at Adam's house watching the pay-per-view with him. Like, I get it. Nobody wants a Hell in the Cell match to end via disqualification. I understand that. But the unwarranted hate that Seth Rollins got over the last year or so has been absolutely embarrassing. And I love how people say, oh, they don't build stars. Seth Rollins has been a fucking star for the last 5-6 years. You haven't been watching this show.
Right.
And for everybody that says WWE only focuses on older talent, I don't think that's really the case, because Ric Flair, who actually just been written off TV in the Big Show, MVP's in his mid-40s, but is he really that old? Right. Like, in totality, here's the issue that I have with people that analyze Raw. They pick out two things that they don't like in the show, and that's the entire representation of the show. So if you don't like Raw Underground, then that means the entire show sucks. If you don't like Retribution or some silly segment like that, right? Oh, I saw somebody the other day that said, oh, the backstage segment with the girl from The Bachelorette or something like that. And the Viking Raiders, they said that segment was so bad that made them hate the show and turn the TV off. I'm like, come on, dude.
Are you kidding? That was hilarious. When he's like, you're cute. You? Not so much. Great.
All right. But you get where I come from, right? That, like, every week they find two littlest things on the show that they don't like, and that's the entire representation show. Now, here's as far as matches and stuff that I liked. Always great to see Liv Morgan in the ring, and Peyton Royce, waterfall salute right there.
Indeed.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Asuka and Bayley had a tremendous match. I'll even go a step further. I thought they had a pay-per-view quality match this week.
Absolutely. Which again, we talked about earlier, Josh. Bayley's level of her game has just been upped over the last month. So props to Bayley.
I'm a big fan of MVP. Obviously, I'm all in for the Hurt Business. I'm all in with what they're doing with Apollo Crews. Here's another case of the bucket narratives. MVP is actually bringing up Apollo Crews in this program, and that's what people are kind of forgetting through the process here. I'm
hoping, just real quick, and I know I said this before, I'm hoping that eventually Cedric Alexander joins the Hurt Business, or Ricochet. Probably Cedric Alexander would be the one, but again, they need a younger talent, kind of like what Evolution did. But I agree with you, Josh. I love it. I love the Hurt Business.
Always great to hear. Always great to see the GOAT back. Mickey James. GOAT.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the two final things I'll mention here. I thought Raw has been doing a great job showcasing the women, and they've been doing it for over a year, especially with Becky Lynch. And I know historically brands are their perception is on the quantity of top level male performers, and I know that's been the case over the years, that if you don't have 5 or 7 elite top stars in your brand, then your show's not good. I kind of disagree. I really think, and Raw is a really good example of this. They had 4 women's matches, And you got to showcase Shayna Baszler on Raw Underground this week.
Absolutely.
And I think Raw should get a lot of credit for the fact that they are relying and trusting women with the TV time that they're being given. Are every storyline that they're doing great? No. But the action is really good and it's speaking for itself. So I think that just analyzing, looking from a big picture point of view, I think the women are it's just as much an essential part to what the Raw brand is as the guys are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sasha Banks could be on the same level as Seth Rollins is, or Drew McIntyre, or any of those guys. Same thing could go for Asuka, Shayna Baszler, and I think the women should be really. I want to give them a round of applause for what they're doing because, like, I enjoy covering their matches. Despite my feelings on the Bayley heel character, her match with Asuka this week was fucking awesome. I had a blast jotting that down. Shane McMahon cracks me up. I feel like he's like a kid at a candy store. He's been waiting his entire life to have like a mini fight club of his own. So I want to see where this goes. But I love seeing Shayna Baszler there and just whooping 3 women's ass. I thought
that was awesome. But overall, Josh, do you like the Raw Underground concept?
Something out of the box. I don't hate it. That's always a good thing. I guess it's a good litmus test. Do you hate something, or I'll say this: I'm not indifferent to it. That's what I'll say. And also, get to see real guys who had amateur backgrounds like Dolph Ziggler, or the guy they had from NXT this week, Arturo Ruas, who also wrestled in Evolve. Very, very talented guy. He beat the shit out of that dude. I know they're trying to pump up the bigger guy, Dabo Kato. I think that's his name. But the Katsu is cool. I don't know if they put any titles on the line here or there. I think that's something that has to evolve. This is a new project, obviously, that they're doing. So, hey, kind of break up the monotony in the show. I think that's kind of the goal that they're going with Raw Underground. Like, okay, we had a serious talking segment, or we had a serious match. Let's have a cool down period and see somebody get their ass whooped. I kind of think that's what the concept of Raw Underground is. I could be totally wrong, but if that's the case, the show's 3 hours. Obviously, we would like the show to be 2 hours. I agree with everybody. Raw doesn't have to be 3 hours every week. But if they're doing Raw Underground to break up the monotony and seeing somebody get their fucking ass whipped, I think it's great. It's a really good idea to calm people down. It's kind of like when you're going to a wrestling show and you have a cool down match during the pay-per-view, like not everything could be guns blazing the entire show. And then finally, it's great to see that Heat still exists in 2020 and Heat still exists in professional wrestling. I know MJF brings heat. I don't need to worry about that. MJF's the freaking man. But what Randy Orton has been doing the last 5 months has been absolutely tremendous. I agree with you. The match you had with Kevin Owens was awesome. That was a really good match. Kevin Owens is just awesome in general. But Randy Orton and what he did with Ric Flair, it's up there with one of the best segments I've seen this year. Storytelling wise, everything that went into it, the punt, Orton saying that that Rick wishes that he was the son that he wished he had. Just some really, really tough lines right there. But you felt it, and I wasn't welling up, but I felt the emotion from hearing Flair saying how he was dealing with being in a coma and telling everybody that he loved them. And like you said, he did some great acting there. But guys, hey folks, if you want to learn what Heat actually looks like, make sure to watch Randy Orton and Ric Flair. That was my thoughts on that.
No, that's great. And I actually had an idea for the Go Home show this week is I think it would be really cool if it's possible and if she can do it to have Charlotte come back. Have Charlotte make an appearance, like Randy Orton's doing us, cutting a promo or whatever. Charlotte comes out and just cuts a scathing promo on Randy Orton, slaps him or whatever, and then Orton hits Charlotte with the RKO.
I wouldn't do that right now. I would actually hold that off a little bit. I want to give credit where credit's due. Bully Ray brought up this potential of Randy Orton and Charlotte having a program with each other. Busted open the other day. Like, you have so many ways you could go with this with Randy Orton going into WrestleMania next year. Where, okay, after he's done with Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, who says that Andrade can come out and go after Randy?
Yeah, that's right? a good idea.
And then you could possibly do the third match with Edge there, and then maybe you could do Triple H one final time as a feud with those guys, and then like you said, one segment, like maybe before WrestleMania, like Randy Orton saying with Andrade, Orton gives Andrade the punt, then Charlotte comes back and they fight each other. Well, and I like it possibly because I think that'd be really, really cool.
I was just thinking of doing that on this coming Raw. One, to set up the thing for Drew McIntyre, and also because since Charlotte is out right now, it's an easier way to just continue to keep her off of television. Is that, and I'm not saying that he should punt Charlotte, like he should not punt her, but yeah. I mean, you've seen him hit the RKO on Nia Jax, so why can't he hit it on Charlotte?
He could. I could see that. I just feel for next week they probably want to do something where McIntyre drops him with the Claymore.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
But again, overall, again, Raw, I absolutely loved it. Can't wait for Monday's show already. Josh, I want to go back to SmackDown real quick because there's one thing that we forgot to talk about that I want to get your thoughts on. I want to get your thoughts on Braun Strowman's promo this week because I know we never talked about that with Strowman, and that's my fault. I was thinking about that. I actually was hoping, it looks like that they're going to write Alexa Bliss out of this, which I actually don't like. I was hoping that they would keep Alexa Bliss into this because it looks like the Fiend, had cornered her again, which I thought the transition to that was kind of weird. Like, Bray Wyatt came out, doing the whole Fiend thing, and I was like, oh, sweet. And then all of a sudden, Alexa Bliss was in the ring. I'm like, how did she get there? So I thought that was kind of weird.
I could explain that. Bray did say in the beginning of the show that he was bringing somebody special.
Oh, I see. Okay, never mind. But anyway, so he's there. And then Braun Strowman comes out and says, I don't give a damn about Alexa Bliss, which, okay, I mean, it shows the monster side of Braun, which, okay. But I like Alexa Bliss being the kind of middle person between the two of them. It just adds another layer to it. So I was hoping that they'd continue that and that would be the story. But what did you think of Braun Strowman's promo this week on SmackDown?
I didn't think it was a good week for Braun Strowman promo-wise. It's one thing to be a monster, and then there's another thing to be a passive-aggressive monster.
Yeah.
His promo sounds something like John Cena would cut, and that's not a compliment because Cena would do these type of promos before where he doesn't care what's going around him, and he's so focused on one thing. Like, you do care about her because we saw your freaking eyes drop like I did a few years ago. For the girl that was in my life, and he, like, the eyes are drooping, like I'm sure his jaw was about to drop. Like, she literally lured him into the swamp. So right. You can say you don't care about her when you do. Right. So I did not think it was a good night for Braun Strowman. I really did enjoy the promo that he did cut before Extreme Rules. Like, that was the aggression and like upset that he should implement. Right. But what he was doing and the weird noises he was trying to make, I just thought was off. And I don't know if anybody's really have sympathy for a passive aggressive monster. Right. I'm not really a big fan of passive aggressive people, to be honest with you. But the more I watch Roman, the more I miss Roman Reigns. I gotta say, I know I'm gonna get heat for that, but boy, do I miss the big dog.
Well, it's like whenever Cena comes back, the crowd always pops and they always, they love it when Cena comes back. It's they dog on him or whatever, but yes, they're always happy to see him.
Denim, jeans, denim.
Gender. Mahan, meek. Universal chatter, man. That was great. But okay, Josh, I'm going to turn the floor over to you at this point. If you would you give us a recap of Impact and as NXT. Well as New Japan as well as NXT this week? And I want to ask you about a couple things from NXT once you give us a review. So the floor is yours, my friend.
I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I know we got our debates and our famous AEW segment to get to soon. By the way, as always, every transcript that I do is available on ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. Cheap plug. Shout out to Mick Foley. For that. I did over 5 New Japan shows this past weekend.
Wow.
Not only was this weekend very exhausting for me personally, but just professionally as well. I did 4 Summer Struggle shows, and then New Japan's doing this thing right now where they're having a New Japan Cup tournament in the USA for the wrestlers who from the United States or other countries can't go into Japan right now due to the virus, right? So they're having a 8-man tournament, and the winner of the USA New Japan Cup will fight Jon Moxley, who is the IWGP United States champion in a later date. I was thinking about this with this tournament. Sometimes I remember the fact that Moxley was the IWGP US champion more than I remember that he was the AEW world champion. Yet Dave Meltzer wants to tell me that Moxley is more mainstream than Keith Lee, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman. Come on, man. Anyways,
it doesn't matter because according to JR, the TNT Championship is the AEW World Championship, and that's the focal point of their company. So, what difference does it make? Go ahead.
They had the first four first round matches in the New Japan Cup USA. I really enjoyed seeing Kenta, Hideo Itami. His match with Carl Fredericks was really good. Jeff Cobb defeated Tonga Loa. The son of Finley, David Finley, had a pretty solid match with Chase Owens. I recommend you guys go check out that match. And then the main event was Tama Tonga, the guy who I'm picking to win this tournament for the USA version of the New Japan Cup. He defeated Brody King from Ring of Honor, so that was a really cool thing that they did there. That was on Friday night. So, Friday was a long night of articles that I had to type out. And then for the Summer Struggle shows, basically they're building up for this big stadium show that they're doing in at the end of the month in Jinju. This is the Summer Struggle Tour. I've covered basically every show on this tour so far. It's insane. Most of the shows have all but tag team matches. So literally, there's not a tag team match in the world that I cannot transcribe now, whether it's a 12-man Mutt Show Fest or an 8-man tag in New Japan that goes all over the place. I can do any tag match now, and they're having this tournament for the never openweight 6-man tag team titles. And the thing for New Japan that I really want to pump this week was they had a all Chaos main event. So Chaos has a big group of wrestlers in their faction. It was Okada, Show from Roppongi 3K, and Toru Yano, the comedian wrestler, and the guy who loves ripping off turnbuckle pads, and the guy like Stunty Girl was the bane of my wrestling existence. The match was them 3 against Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and my favorite New Japan wrestler, Tomohiro Ishii, the Stone Pitbull. Ishii's the baddest dude on the planet. I don't care what Taz says. Yes, Brian Cage is cool, but he ain't no Ishii. That's for damn sure. So they had this awesome 6-man tag team match. It went 24 minutes. I got 8 paragraphs out of that match. That match was awesome. Go check it out on anywhere you can find your wrestling shows, especially New Japan World. Chaos it's the Sunday show, so it was August the 9th. Yes, August the 9th. The main event of that show was absolutely tremendous. And then also they made a couple other matches for the big stadium show. Shingo Takagi from LIJ is going to be fighting Minoru Suzuki for the never openweight title, so that's going to be awesome as well. And the cool part about it is I'm watching these shows, and we were talking about the virus earlier. Guys, New Japan has actual fans in the Corkin Hall, sold out.
Wow.
You're getting the crowds back in Japan right now, and you're going to have a stadium show. Yeah, they had the 6 feet social distancing. They're doing all that. I've seen masks all over the place, so they're following proper rules, which is good. And if Japan could do it, I think we could do it. And the fact that we're trying to argue the merits whether masks are actually preventable of getting the virus or not, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But that's the New Japan side.
Great.
Let's get into Impact Wrestling really quick. Really quick, I want to give a shout out to Eric Young and Willie Mack. Had a very good match in the show. I mentioned last week that Rich Swann announced his retirement. I don't know whether that's storyline or not, but Willie Mack is Rich Swann's best friend, so he went after Eric Young after what Eric Young did to Rich Swann last week. They had a very good match. Eric Young won via the Spike Pile Driver, so that was a really good match. Yes, Josh Matthews still sucks. I will say that. Let's see. Deonna Purrazzo, formerly of NXT, she challenged Jordan Grace to a 30-minute knockouts Ironman match. So in the next couple of weeks, Impact is doing a special series of shows called Emergence. And those shows will be on Access TV. By the way, you can watch Impact Wrestling every single Tuesday at 8/7 Central on Access TV. And they're doing a lot of cool stuff. They're having Motor City Machine Guns against the North for their World Tag Team titles. That's going to be a great match. The Good Brothers are going after Ace Austin and Madman Fulton.
And you're a big Ace Austin fan, aren't you?
Yes. Ace Austin is up there. I don't know if he's in my top 5 of current heels right now, but he does a lot of good stuff. I think Ace Austin is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world right now. They're doing this weird reality show thing called Wrestle House that I'm not really that big of a fan of. I really skip past it because I really can't transcribe it. I mean, they have matches in between, but it's like Legends House, but reverse with current talent. It's just weird. I don't get it. I really don't. And it takes a lot of time to show, so that's the one thing I enjoy. I could fast forward through it really fast. And then Sami Callihan is still having this feud with Rob Van Dam over Katie Forbes and her obsession with being on OnlyFans and stuff like that. So I thought Impact was okay this week. The main event was Eddie Edwards and Kurt Hawkins.
Oh, I think I remember seeing on YouTube that Kurt Hawkins is back now with in the Zone of Impact. So
correction, it's Brian Myers. I'm sorry, guys. It's not much the same. He still has the same ring gear that he had in WWE.
Did Heath Slater win a job with the company?
No, he's doing a campaign thing. Heath for Impact. That's the hashtag. If you want Heath to get signed by Impact, you have to type in hashtag Heath for Impact.
I see.
It's okay. I mean, the match with Eddie and Brian was a good match, but still, I'm still trying to contemplate the fact that Brian Myers main evented an Impact this week. And, I got to be consistent with this. We rag on AEW giving title shots off the bat to guys who just got released by WWE. I got to be consistent with here with Impact. This is not a good look. I mean, if you want to do a open challenge match where it's just one-on-one, okay, that's cool. I understand that. But yeah, so that was Impact. And then finally NXT last night started off the show with Killer Kross, one of the best characters in all professional wrestling right now. Love his entrance music. And hey, you know how we talk about the Chicago Fire? The actual Chicago Fire? Man, Charlotte brings that and then some as far
Scarlett?
Yes, Scarlett. She's from Chicago, so she's Chicago Fire Waterfall. There you go.
Yes.
He had a match with Danny Burch. It was pretty good. I love watching Killer Kross wrestle. He's the man. Keith Lee came out.
Isn't it Karrion Kross or did they?
I call him Killer, but yeah, he is Karrion Kross. Yeah.
Okay. I just don't want, I don't want the copyright structure. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Right.
The internet marks are going to go, wow, he's Karrion Kross now. This show doesn't know what the time. Okay, go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, God. Wrestling Twitter. All right. Yeah, so Karrion Kross beat Danny Burch, and then Keith Lee came out and he pled with William Regal to give him a match for TakeOver 30. That's official. Kross versus Lee for the NXT Championship at TakeOver 30. Kross signed a contract. Scarlett kissed the folder of the contract, rolled it back into the ring. Keith opened up to make sure that Kross signed the contract. Out comes a fireball like it's the 80s, like it's Terry Funk throwing a fireball at Jerry Lawler at an indie event like 4 or 5 years ago. I remember that viral video went out. Old school heat, pal.
but I'm assuming it was better than when Hulk Hogan threw fire in the Warriors' eyes.
Oh, my God. I think I saw a clip of that on Twitter, like bad botches, something. Now that was on pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, it was. Like the fire, because I watched a story about it. The fire, he was supposed to throw fire in the eyes. It didn't light. It didn't work. So Horace Hogan had to come out and.
Hold up. Did you just say Horace Hogan?
Horace Hogan, yes. Hollywood Hogan's nephew had to come out, hit Warrior with a stop sign, and then Hogan got the pin at that point. Go back and watch it, Josh. It was Horace Hogan. I don't think it was the Disciple at that time. I want to say it was Horace Hogan, but go check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for Billy Rhodes to show up later on in AEW. But so
we'll get there. Go ahead.
Keith Lee gets blinded, right? Yes, goes to the hospital. Drake Maverick and Killian Dane had a match during the picture-in-picture part of NXT. I'm glad that they got the time, because usually sometimes when you have somebody storm the ring and attack both competitors, it's kind of like a short match, and it is what it is. But the guys got time during picture-in-picture, so I'm glad they got that out on television for the performers. So Drake Maverick won't be a disqualification, because out come the Undisputed Era. Now they're just attacking people all the time during matches. Adam Cole cut a promo. He said that he wanted Pat McAfee to show up to NXT next week to tell him straight to his face that he's going to whoop his ass and take over 30. He said that Pat's way in over his head, and that Pat McAfee can talk all he wants on the show and on ESPN, and that's cool. But you're entering territories that you're not fit for. And I've seen some people 50-50 on this. Some people are for Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee, and some people are disinterested. I kind of hope that Adam Cole whoops Pat McAfee's ass, because Pat comes off as a disingenuous, passive-aggressive dude on these talk shows, and I see him on Get Up and stuff like that, and I hope he does whoop his ass.
Why not?
Why not?
I'm intrigued by it, Josh. I'm looking forward to it, actually. I think it's good. And I'm just glad to see Adam Cole still in NXT. And, because I think that, I've talked about before, we weren't sure what was going to happen once he lost the NXT championship to Keith Lee. But I'm glad he's there. At least we're getting one more match. Maybe post SummerSlam he'll be on Raw or SmackDown with the Undisputed Era. I don't know, but we'll see.
What if Undisputed Era was exclusive to NXT, but the same 4 guys went up to either Raw or SmackDown, and they're part of Retribution?
I'm okay with that.
That's like the next stage of their faction. I don't know. Guys, for those guys and girls, those who are watching or listening to the show right now, let us know what you think. Would you like the fact if they changed the name of their group to Retribution for the main roster? Let me know what you think on that. Other stuff on the show, always good to hear promos from Finn Balor. He's like, it doesn't matter whether it's 18 or 49 or whoever's watching the show, everybody watches the Prince. So I thought that was a pretty funny line from Finn Balor, so that was good. Speaking of good matches, Bronson Reed against Damian Priest was fantastic. Really good Hoss match. Really enjoyed that. Rhea Ripley and Shotzi Blackheart came out to attack the Robert Stone brand. I put this out on Twitter last night. It looks like Robert Stone has revived Death Row Records with the red suit that he was wearing last night. So that was pretty funny. We had another segment at the Gagardo household where they're cutting promos, and then they had the little glitch, and then they get evil and stuff. So I thought that was fine. Did he? I'm trying to make sure that I heard this right. I think Gargano called himself the Wednesday Night. The Night.
Oh,
like a sword night.
Oh, geez. Oh, wow. Okay,
That's kind of clever, actually. So Johnny Gargano has to fight Rich Holland next week for a shot to get into that 5-way ladder match at TakeOver, and then the main event was Cameron Grimes, Kushida, and a returning Velveteen Dream. I put this out on my Instagram stories. I shared the links to the articles and stuff on my stories. You can follow me on there. By the way, Joshie Lopez 94. I put the "When Doves Cry" by Prince song as a song feature. It was good to see the Dream back. The Dream did not win the match though. Cameron Grimes, or Tom Grimes, or Cameron Petty, as I like to call him, he decided to he won the match. He stole the victory. I thought his promo earlier in the show was, in the words of Conan, JoJo Dutch, and that's not a compliment, that's an insult. Not good. But Cameron Grimes won. He's a good wrestler. I'm not into this character that he's doing right now. It's just not good. Not at all. But Dream's gonna be fighting Finn Balor next week. That's gonna be a big match.
It's gonna be great.
And the winner of that match will go into they'll get the final shot at the ladder match, the final slot, if you will, in that ladder match. So I thought NXT was really good last night, and it's just good to see that good wrestling is going on, and it's not over the top skits all the time. There's serious action going on in the ring, and the guys are just doing some good stuff. And even the women too. It's crazy. I think Dynamite had a 2-minute match for the women last night, and NXT still finds a way to implement their women on a 2-hour show, and Raw had 4 women's matches. So, I thought NXT was really good last night.
That's great. And, and I've said before too, Josh, I think the NXT women's division is stacked. I mean, you've got some unbelievable talent down there. You've got Mia Yim, Io Shirai, Dakota Kai, Rhea Ripley, Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Knox. I mean, it's Candice LeRae. Like, it's a solid division.
Casey Catanzaro, or as I like to call her, Casey Shucky Ducky Quack Quack Catanzaro, looking good. If anybody's ever seen Booker T do TNA commentary, it's absolute gold.
All right, I'm have to look at it. You sent me that video. Oh my god, I can't.
Gonna hit her with a big old thrust kick. Stop her up like a biscuit.
Okay, speaking of hilarity and just things that don't make a lot of sense, we're going to switch gears now. Before we get into our flagship segment here, Josh, this is going to be a very, very short
but fun
debate. And I want to get into, Josh, because last night was Tag Team Appreciation Night, so they say, on AEW. I thought it'd be fun for you and I to just take a quick moment to discuss some of our favorite tag teams. And I want to break this down into 3 categories, because I think there's 3 different categories you can have with a honorable mention category, or I'm going to say a 3.5 categories, because I think we're going to have some fun with the final one. But so I want to talk about the best tag team of all time, some of the most important tag teams of all time, and then just our personal favorite tag teams of all time. Because I have a feeling that's 3 different categories, and then we're going to get into the worst tag teams of all time, because I think that's a lot of fun. But Josh, as a wrestling historian, I want to start with you, and I want to get into some of the most important tag teams of all time, as far as tag teams, and and I'm going to go with just who do you think is the most important tag team of all time, as a team that just revolutionized and brought the genre to a whole nother level?
Man, that's a great question. There's so many different territories and other groups you can look at it. When I think of tag team wrestling, I think you have to say Rock and Roll Express is number one. Probably the greatest tag team of all time. There's been good character tag teams. There's been destructive root tag teams like the Road Warriors or Demolition along the way. But I think probably the most important tag team of all time is probably the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah.
Or Tully and Arn, if you're on the heel side.
Sure.
I mean, there's been other great tag teams as we get to these separate categories, but I think Rock and Roll is probably number one of all time.
Yeah, I'd put Rock and Roll is up there for me, along with the Midnight Express, another fantastic team. For me, Josh, I think it's the Road Warriors and the Legion of Doom, because just what they did to advance tag team wrestling against so many territories, and then, just having that wonderful run in WWF, going into the late 90s too, with Hawk and Animal doing their own separate thing. Their ending was kind of weird when Hawk fell off the Titantron. I thought that was didn't really care for that. But just for me, I would put Road Warriors as number one for most important. But again, you could make an argument for Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express, all that stuff. So that's great. Next category, Josh, I want to go with is the best tag team of all time. And there's a number of ways you could go with this. For me, I'm going to say it's the Dudley Boys, because obviously the number of championships that they've won, I believe it's like 23 or 24 times they've been tag team champions across how many different promotions, how they've been able to go their own ways. I mean, to me, I think Bully Ray was one of the most underrated characters in the last decade, the decade we just passed, and I wish he would have gotten to do more, especially in WWE. I think the Bully Ray character in WWE when the Dudleys came back could have been unbelievable. So for me, I think the best, and again, you're splitting hairs with some of the greatest tag teams of all time, but for me, I think the best tag team of all time is the Dudley Boys.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Dudley Boys are definitely the best tag team of all time. To win nearly every tag team title in every promotion in the world is not an easy feat. Some singles wrestlers don't even get to compete for world titles. I agree with that. I'd go with the Dudley Boys for best tag team of all time. Okay.
And then I'm going to go to you, Josh, to start this one. Your favorite tag team of all time. Who is your favorite tag team of all time?
My favorite tag team of all time, I'll go old school and then a new school. My favorite old school tag team is Hart Foundation. Bret Hart and Jim Deville Neidhart. That was my favorite tag team outside of the Dudley Boys. It would have been too easy to pick them again. So I'll go the Hart Foundation. And let's see. For new school, I'd probably say the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Oh, very nice.
Yes. Please, folks, keep your shoes on as I speak about this. Grizzled Young Veterans, NXT UK. I love those guys. They are what tag team wrestling is about. They don't do a gazillion spots. They actually work, and they're good heels. So, gotta love some James Drake and Zach Gibson. Liverpool's number one. Yes.
Right. That's awesome. For me, I'll give a new and an old school too. And I don't know if you can call these guys old school, but to me, and they've been my favorite tag team for a long time. I don't know if you can call them a tag team, but I am. I'm going to say it's the Outsiders. Hall and Nash. They had an incredible run when the NWO started, and then they obviously ruled tag team wrestling for a long time as the NWO was getting going. I always thought that they were able to take care of anybody along their way. And then obviously they went off and had incredible singles careers. Well, they had incredible singles careers before they came to WCW as the Outsiders. And then when they left, Nash continued on with his. Scott Hall, unfortunately, could have had a great career after post WCW, but some things happened and he wasn't able to do that. But for me, it's the Outsiders. And then new school is tough, man. There's been so many great new school tag teams, even ones in promotions that we give a lot of crap to. I know you're going to get mad at me for this, Josh. And there's been so many great teams. I think of DIY. I think of the Revival, when they were the Revival in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were incredible. But for me, Josh, and I'm gonna get some heat for this because of but for me, it's the Young Bucks. And I absolutely think that for as much of a hard time as we give them, and rightfully so, the Young Bucks have been a consistent force in tag team wrestling for the decade. And I think they're incredible. As far as just athletes, they are great athletes, and their chemistry is fantastic. Take away their storylines and their overuse in AEW. If you just look at their body of work over the last decade, for me, it's the Young Bucks, and I've really gotten exposed to them since AEW, and so I've become a huge fan of just their in-ring talent.
There's been a lot of great tag teams over here. You got Harlem Heat. You got
the Hardys. I mean, good Lord,
Hardys, Edge and Christian, Los Guerreros. The list goes on and on. You got Gorillas of Destiny for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I remember Beer Money for.
Oh, I forgot about Beer Money. Yeah, they were great.
Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles were a good tag team for a time.
I like the Motor City Machine Guns. I think they're very talented. Chris, I've enjoyed their work for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Man, gosh, so I forgot about Beer Money. Sorry, not your damn luck.
Yeah, New Day, Usos.
Oh, New Day, sure. Usos. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and New Day is as a group, New Day is Hall of Famers for sure. New Age Outlaws, I thought were great. Man, so many great tag teams.
I don't know about the Headbangers, but
okay, Josh, and just for fun, who's your worst tag team of all time?
Oh,
are you going to say what I think you're going to say? Go ahead.
Road Warrior Buck and Balding Buck is by far the worst tag team I've ever seen in my life. Oh. Yes, I am calling them Road Warrior Buck and Baldy Buck, and if I get heat for being a Cornette fan, I'll take it. The absolute worst. Hey, it could be worse. I mean, there's an honorable mention, Jurassic Express after what I saw last night. Remember the Highlanders?
Oh gosh, I forgot about the Highlanders. Oh my god, that's great. Oh wow,
they're brutal. Oh, we got Mitchell McMule in the house. Another good tag team, Sasha Bailey, Lucha Bros. Yes.
Yep.
Even though Lucha Bros should learn how to hold tag ropes.
No.
Prime Time, good character tag.
Oh yeah, I like Prime Time for sure.
Eminem, another old school team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but as far as worst tag teams, God, I remember Devon and the Pope were a team in TNA. That was brutal. Matt Morgan, just because Matt Morgan, any team he was on because he sucks. What
about you know who was okay but who was forgettable was Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch.
Yeah, they were old school. They were kind of like before Revival with bigger bellies. So that's basically what their gimmick was. Oh man, there's a lot.
Who was Rene Dupree with for a while?
Oh, La Resistance, Savon Grenier, Rene Dupree, and Rob Conway.
Yeah, that was rough. Oh my gosh, that's funny. But okay, well, Josh, we're running short on time, so we need to move on. We're gonna skip the positives of the show this week because. Let's be honest, there really weren't a whole lot. I will say before we get into, though, props to Mike Chioda and him being back. I was very happy to see him back on television this week. I hope he can do something with those AEW referees, which we'll get into. But go ahead.
Don't forget, folks, if you want to get a job with AEW, make sure to appear on Talk is Jericho. It's like leaking for professional wrestlers. Anyways, one last thing before we get in here. Matt said League of Nations. That was brutal.
That was brutal. Yeah, I didn't like.
And let's not forget the Ascension as well.
I wanted the Ascension to be good. I really did, because I had hopes for the Ascension. I really did, but that was a swing and a miss for sure. Unfortunately, too, because again, I think I liked Connor and Victor. But also one other good thing I'll say from AEW this week, Josh. I thought that Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho actually had a good match to close out the show.
I thought Orange Cassidy carried the COVID god this week.
For sure.
Jericho did not look good this week. It was not a good week for the COVID god.
Sure, but,
let's go. Let's get it, man.
Let's get into it, buddy. Here we go. We have a lot to talk about, but here we go. It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? Brought to you, as always, by Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Okay, Josh, let's get right into it. What the hell is wrong with AEW? You could just say Dynamite. What the hell was wrong with Dynamite this week? And we're just going to go segment by segment. Okay, you start with the Dark Order taking on the Young Bucks. Again, props to the Young Bucks. I'm a fan of them. But how is... You want to talk about bad refereeing and bad officiating. How is the Dark Order blocking Matt Jackson from getting back to the ring? One, how does that make any sense? Two, how is that not a disqualification? Like, you do that, and then all of a sudden, now, of course, Nick Jackson gets the win, which then says, what the hell is the Dark Order doing? Yes, they got the win in the 12-man tag last week, but, like, how is the Dark Order effective as a stable? Like, good Lord, it's awful. And then, as a result, their leader, Brody Lee, goes in, and all of a sudden, he's going to be challenging for the TNT Championship. He was digging through the trash to find the old belt. He should have been digging in the trash for the storyline, which is what the Dark Order is. But what the hell is wrong with the... I can't even fathom, Josh. Like, what is the Dark Order all about? It's ridiculous.
By the way, you know who books the tag team division for AEW? Baldy Buck and Road Warrior Buck as well. The one of the reasons why I say they are the worst tag team, in my opinion, is because their match layouts make absolutely no sense. No sense. Whether it's a regular tag team match, whether it's a 12-man mud show fest like we saw last week, or this 6-man tag team match we're doing next week, they have to drag out the Elite to fight. Okay, I have to read this out loud. They're having the Elite fight next Saturday against John Silver. By the way, he does some funny shit on BTE. I like this stuff, but the Dark Order are absolutely Nimrods. They're having John Silver and Alex Reynolds with a 1-7 record and 5. You're dragging out the Elite to fight the Goon Squad.
The job squad.
I put this out on Twitter the other day. The only good things about the Dark Order is that they wear black and purple and Anna Jay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes, Anna Jay. I'm okay with seeing Anna Jay on my screen for sure.
Don't call it a tag team match whenever the Young Bucks are wrestling, and especially when the Dark Order are wrestling, because just because you're doing 50 fucking tags in 3 minutes does not make it a tag team match. It's embarrassing.
Now, again, when I said Young Bucks was the best team, I was looking at their entire body of work, not just necessarily their work in AEW, because I think they've had some incredible matches around the world. I really do. But okay, let's continue, Josh. Okay, Cody. When did he become the Prince of Pro Wrestling? What the hell is that? And then all of a sudden his stable is increasing, and now you've got... Now, again, I'm okay with the addition of... I
know where you're going with it yet.
Yeah, with Allie. I like an Allie addition to the stable, I have no problem with that. That's okay. But now all of a sudden his Nightmare family is growing, and they're acting like heels. Why doesn't Cody just turn freaking heel already? Like, he was using heel tactics in his match with Scorpio Sky. He's been using heel tactics ever since he won the TNT Championship. And, it's and then like a name like the Prince of Pro Wrestling, and he's trying to do the whole like Lex Luger thing with his pecs or whatever. It's absolutely ridiculous. Cody's character is a joke, which is a shame because I think Cody's actually a good wrestler and can have good matches, but he needs to turn heel. It's absolutely ridiculous with what he's doing. I can't believe it. And now it's a freaking Brody Lee. Mitchell's got it right on the money. What's the point of having him on TV? The Dark Order of nothing. It's absolutely ridiculous. But Josh, Cody is starting to frustrate me more and more every week. It's ridiculous.
I think you're trying to see where I've been coming from. I've been saying this since the beginning of Dynamite on TNT. Character-wise, Cody Rhodes is the biggest hypocrite in all of professional wrestling.
Yes.
This egomaniac needs to bring 5 or 6 people down to the ring for Scorpio Sky. I like Scorpio.
Yeah.
You need to bring the whole freaking Calgary, the whole Calgary is like it's a fucking pay-per-view.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
And again, I like Scorpio Sky too. I thought that their in-ring match was okay.
Fine.
It was fine. Yeah, it was all right. I had no problems with it. But
yeah, and then they were hyping up, this big thing with the new belt. It's the same thing with like more brighter diamond.
It's gold instead of silver.
Okay, big difference.
With it's a red base with some silver, but most of it is the plating is now gold instead of silver.
I rarely come on here and talk about and complain about who wins a match or who loses a match. I rarely do that. And I rarely touch on booking, but the match pairings in AEW suck.
They're awful.
Throughout the entire show, they suck. Week through week, they suck. You're going to tell me there's any chance in the world that Brody Lee is going to beat Cody Rhodes next Saturday for the TNT Championship? Kind of like Jake Hager was supposed to beat Cody Rhodes at Double or Nothing, right? Or was it Fight for the Fall, whatever the hell the show was?
Right.
Like, their match pairings absolutely suck.
Okay, so here's what's happening now. Cody Rhodes is basically going to run through the roster because and they also brought up the fact that he's an EVP of AEW. They kind of hyped that up throughout the show. So he's going to run through the roster because that's what's going to happen because of his ego. And then what? Then what do you do with the TNT Championship? Does he retire? I'm
surprised he doesn't call himself the measuring stick since he wants to be Triple H so much.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay,
what's next?
Okay, you talked about the commentary, Josh. I hinted at the fact that I was going to make a Chicago reference for you this week. He has a stupid 2 on his neck, and it said it's for brand. Yeah, absolutely. I said I was going to make a Chicago reference, Josh. The commentary team of AEW, and I mean this no disrespect to the greatest sportscaster of baseball sportscaster of all time, but to me, they remind me of Harry Carey in a lot of ways because they just go off on these rants about nothing that has to do with what's going on. And I love Harry Carey. He's the greatest baseball announcer perhaps of all time, but he would just go off on these rants, of stories that make absolutely no sense during the Cubs game. And that's what AEW do. They're going off on these nonsensical stories that have no idea, that have nothing to do with what's going on in the ring. To me, they're like Harry Carey.
Yeah. I was seeing this throughout the show. 1 minute Taz wants to throw these heat lines because he got to prop up Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, right? He had the funny line about Darby Allin when they were promoting the show for next week. I thought that was funny. Or whenever Moxley was beating up MJF, I thought that was funny. By the way, the one positive thing that I have from AEW this week was the Jon Moxley MJF segment. Yeah. But for MJF, not Jon Moxley. MJF. The reason I'll say that is because Mr. Production Team, Mr. AEW himself, Tony Khan, why are you in the background smiling while Jon Moxley is cutting a promo? I think you'd be smart on being a 25-year subscriber to the freaking newsletter of the craps. I can't even call it the Observer because what we're observing, bad articles and BS. That's what the Observer is.
Bad journalism. Bad writing. It's awful.
I think a guy that would be a disciple of Dave Meltzer would know to not have you in the background of a shot of Jon Moxley cutting a promo. I just thought that was embarrassing and just horrible production. But going back to this, commentary is just bad. I'm they're the Young Bucks Dork Order match. Dork Order, freaking Cornette comes over.
I did the Dork Order.
everything is great to Taz. Everything AEW does is great. It's awesome. It's great. And I keep mentioning it every week. Every time somebody says something, oh, you're right, JR. Oh, you're right, Taz. Oh, you're right, Tony. Are any of the commentators ever wrong? Is there ever any dialogue? Hell, at least I appreciate the back and forth bicker that Graves and Saxons have with each other once at a time. I didn't know we're at the freaking country club and we're just patting each other on the ass the entire show. That's what the commentary is. And also, I keep saying this. Can I hear Jim Ross do play-by-play? Because I feel like every time JR does commentary on AEW, he's treating it as if he's reviewing the show on his podcast. It's not play-by-play. He's like, let's say we put on a pay-per-view, right? An old school pay-per-view and watch it for what it was, and we have our own commentary as it's happening. That's what JR's commentary sounds like in AEW right now. It's not good.
Right.
It's not good. I don't mind Tony Schiavone. He's fine. I enjoy his work. He does a lot of good stuff, but the commentary is piss poor. And I'm sorry if I'm biased to the part, but I think the most essential part of wrestling shows outside of referees and good matches and all that other stuff that we always talk about is the commentary. Because if the narrators of the show, A, don't lead you of what's going on with the stories, and B, are just not good at what they're doing, then your show is a freaking train wreck.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's awful. It's
brutal,
absolutely,
man.
It's garbage, and which is unfortunate because all three of them are legends.
They're good. They're great commentators, but you should not be having Taz doing play-by-play over JR during the match. Yes, I know Taz knows the name of the moves. Awesome. Leave that stuff for Dark.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%, Josh. And though I will say Taz is a step up from Excalibur. So
everybody's a step over Excalibur.
This is true. Okay, Josh. So we had a little debate about this earlier. What did and I'm going to get you to answer me a couple questions here, if you don't mind. What was the main theme of last night's episode of Dynamite? What were they touting? Just answer that for me.
Tag team appreciation.
Yes, thank you very much. Do you know how many tag team matches were on the show? There were two. How many tag team matches were on last week's episode of Dynamite?
3 or 4.
3. So you're saying there's more tag team wrestling on non-appreciation night than there is on appreciation night. And the tag team matches were bad. It was okay. And I like Jurassic Express. I like Kenny Omega. I like Hangman Page. I really do. I'm high on Hangman Adam Page. I really think he's a star in the making. But their match was sloppy. It was piss poor. They missed all their spots. Stunted Growth tried to get in there, and he acted like a complete idiot and tried to get in Kenny Omega's face. Like, how in any mind could Stunted Growth, if Kenny Omega is truly the savior and is as amazing as everybody says he is, how does Stunted Growth have a shot against?
I don't know.
It makes no sense. Their match, the matches were piss poor for a tag team pre. And then you have the stupid ass segment where they were kissing each other's asses with the Rock and Roll Express and Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard and.
Picture if that segment was on Monday Night Raw and how much shit that segment was.
It would be awful. Everyone would be like, oh my God, what a disaster. But because it's on AEW, man, it's so great to see the Rock and Roll.
Great storytelling. Kenny McIntosh from Inside the Roads, another guy that kisses AEW's ass every single week. Whatever, man.
Look,
keep going.
Eventually the wool is going to get pulled. Eventually AEW's honeymoon period is going to end. And everyone's going to realize, wait, WWE has a better product. Why are we, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But I thought that the whole tag team appreciation segment was stupid. Tully Blanchard
was actually the best part of the segment.
Yeah, I mean, and trying to get Sean Spears in there, which I don't know how he's.
You didn't even recognize him.
You're right, exactly. He's like, oh yeah, it's still a thing. It's so I thought it was stupid. FTR turning heel, fine. But I thought just the whole tag team appreciation night concept was absolutely ridiculous. And it was executed probably some of the poorest execution that AEW has done in the history of their company.
Yeah, by the way, Omega and Page against the Jurassic Bus Express, just a bad match. Probably the worst match of the week I've seen so far. I like Jungle Boy, but he tries too much to do what the Young Bucks do and all these other guys do in AEW. Sooner or later, not only he has to identify himself as a character, but what he does in the ring. Because, yeah, it's very impressive, some of the flex stuff he does, but sloppy-looking suicide dives, wherever that outside-in tornado DDT try does, he almost messed up Paige's neck trying to do that.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And listen, I'm with you. I like Jungle Boy, and I think if booked properly, he could be one of those guys you could lump in with MJF, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, of like homegrown, getting their names out there in AEW and helping to grow the company.
A match is going to be bad when stunted growth is the focus of a match. I'm just throwing it out there. So Kenny McFingerbang and stunted growth, you could go the fuck home and stay the fuck home.
Very good.
Very good. Oh, by the way, AEW is being pushed to Saturday nights because the NBA is around. But hey, didn't Meltzer say last week that AEW is doing better ratings than the NBA playoffs?
Yeah, okay. But that's probably not. I mean, that's the TNT higher ups decision. So
this is what I wanted to go off on earlier. These two guys are dying on their heels about this 1834, 1849 demographic, right? These are coming from two guys in their mid-40s in Alvarez and Seltzer in his early 60s. How the hell are these two guys going to tell someone my age or even older what we like? You don't speak for me. You don't speak for me. And I was having this conversation with King HR. When has there ever been a time where total viewership doesn't matter? Right. The key demo and to propagate your agenda and narrative, the key demo. I mentioned it earlier. Awesome. You're doing great ratings in the 1834 demographic. Your show's rated TV 14. What would be your actual ratings if you weren't TV 14? Think about that one.
No, I agree with you 100%. In fact, I want to read. Let's see. I got a couple tweets last night. Here's what's wrong with AEW Dynamite. This is from Kevin. I got this tweet on the Wrestling Rumors account. You can follow him at KJChuff70. Here's what's wrong with Dynamite. The announcing seems off. They don't act as if anything exciting is happening. The Elite keeps winning. Ex-WWE stars gets title shots over existing talent. But yes. 0-0 at the bottom. Too many spots and shots at WWE. It's awful. You know what else is awful, Josh? And AEW deserves to be really just called out for this, is the AEW women's division. It's brutal. It's brutal. And it's unfortunate because I actually think there's some talent there. But I mean,
AEW's women's division is just as bad as the NCAA. That's how bad it is.
I mean, here's what the AEW women's division was last night on their primary show. You had Hikaru Shida, who I actually think is talented.
Yes.
As their champion, defending against an unknown. Fine. Glad she's getting her shot. But what else was there? We didn't see Britt Baker. We didn't see the role model. We didn't see Big Swole. We didn't see Penelope Ford. We didn't see, Ivelisse. We didn't see, So how many talented wrestlers are there? You know where they probably are is probably on the YouTube show that nobody watches.
Yeah. And for those who don't watch the show, you can check it out at ProWrestlingTrackers.com. Yeah, there wasn't even any purple and black waterfall. Where's my Penelope Ford at? Like, come on, man. Hey, by the way, do you know that Brandy Rhodes has an action figure and she's a heel again? I did
notice. It's ridiculous. Nyla Rose wasn't on there. I mean, it's just ridiculous, Josh. They should be ashamed of themselves how they're promoting women's wrestling in AEW. It's awful.
Their product is embarrassing as opposed to what the alternative should actually be to a WWE show, because they're making all the same mistakes that WCW made, that TNA made in the past. They don't even prioritize women's wrestling, not one bit.
No,
not at all. They don't.
And it's absolutely.
Brandy gets more attention than any woman on the roster, and she's about to win a tag team cup for what? For her and Allie to split with each other. It's just the whole narrative and everything that goes behind AEW is just hypocritical. Their characters are hypocritical. Their announcers are hypocritical. The whole message of AEW is hypocritical to what the alternative should be. Actually form an identity, try to be an alternative like Lucha Underground was, and actually put in some good work, because outside of MGF and some other exceptions here and there, this show is nothing different than I have ever seen in TNA or WCW at the end. This particular episode of AEW Dynamite sucked from top to bottom. I'm not holding back from this anymore. And it's not that I have the outs for AEW. I wanted to succeed more than anybody because I cover all their shows every single week. But it becomes wasting of time when you basically have a show that's being booked for the fucking dirt sheets. That's all it is. Right. That's all AEW is since day one. And it's embarrassing.
It's an absolute joke. I got nothing else, Josh. You ready?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Brought to you by the Elite.
I'm not apologizing if I went too off there. This has been months of frustration coming out because, like, I want this show to be as good as anything, and they continue to shoot themselves in the foot and try to act like something they're not. Right. And that's the thing when you have the boys running the shop and being part of creative, and you got a 25-year-old subscriber to the server as your promoter. I mean, it tells you everything you need to know right there.
It's like when they say that the downfall of WCW was when Hogan got creative control and just started running the show, and it was awful. But Josh, we're almost out of time. Really quickly before we go, first off, thank you for hosting. I want to say to everybody, this is going to be my last appearance on the show for a while because my things in my life are starting up again. School's starting up again next week, but Josh, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this for the last 4 months during quarantine. It's been fun to get to do these shows and, just trying to give people a bit of hope and a bit of fun. I hope the audience has enjoyed it. I hope it's been a lot of fun. It's certainly been fun for me, so thanks for letting me do this for the last few months, man. It's been great.
No, I want to thank you. The fact that you wanted to be part of this show more frequently than you have been in the past really means a lot to me, because I've been doing shows like this since 2013, and I've had a potpourri of different co-hosts and stuff like that. And I'm confident enough in my skills knowing that I can do a show on my own. But the fact that you wanted to be part of this and you wanted to have fun with this, and I didn't know how it was going to be for you. I mean, we did Universal Chatter with you, sir, but this is a totally different platform than Universal Chatter or Warm Up or any of the shows we've done in the past. You've been a key integral part to what this show has been over the last year or two, etc., especially when you first started doing the Thoughts of Dericho. And obviously, Derek will still have his weekly pre-produced segments on the show, but he won't be here for a co-hosting point of view. But I just want to say thank you, and you've been really a big part in this momentum that this particular show has been having over the last 5 months. And I can't be more grateful for what you've done for the show, but more importantly, what you've done for me personally and everything I've dealt with for the last couple weeks. And it's really interesting in life. You figure out like what real people are and what their true actions are. Mm-hmm. And you've always been honest, and you've always been real with me. And the cool part is it's been a collaborative effort. It hasn't always been what I wanted to do. I took in your ideas. We came up with a lot of different concepts and different ideas, like this segment that we just did a couple minutes ago. But honestly, though, this show has been getting a lot of momentum, and you're a big part of that. So I just want to say thank you. And the numbers show for it, and the feedback that we get from the show every week shows that. So it's gonna be a bummer not to do shows every week with you, because I just enjoy hanging out and shooting the shit with you. This is my favorite part of the week. And but still, it'll be fun to hear Derek from via satellite.
I will be continuing to send in the thoughts of Dericho every week. I will be continuing to send in what the hell is wrong with AEW every week. And you never know. If, in a month or two, we're forced to quarantine again, then I may be back. But you just never know. But and whenever I have the opportunity and have some free time, Josh, I'll definitely jump on and be a part of the show because I love doing this and love being a part of the show with you and give you your performance evaluation every now and then is always a lot of fun.
Yes.
So, but the fans can continue to either look forward to or to get ready to barf on the thoughts of Dericho or what the hell is wrong with AEW. But it's been fun, guys. Again, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Derek Stoughton. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dericho06. You can also check out my work on Wrestling Rumors. Be sure to check that out there. And Josh, thanks again, man. And congratulations to you on the momentum of the show. And looking forward to, as the show continues to grow, looking forward to being part of it as we reach new heights. It's going to be great.
I appreciate you, brother, more than you ever know, man. So as we wrap this here, I want to end this up with a spoken word. And I'm not going to get too personal with this because obviously some things I like to hold within, just out of respect and stuff. It's been a very rough couple of weeks for me, ending a 3.5-year experience that has had a lot of highs, but more lows than I thought it was initially going to be. And I just want to give out this bit of advice for people out there, and especially those who are in and out of relationships or people who deal with cheating or any of the situations, friend zone, the list goes on and on. And this little source of wisdom here as I wrap up the show this week. All right. So I found 2 quotes from a guy named Stefan Speaks, and he's a great YouTuber. He does a lot of topics about this type of stuff, and I recommend you guys go check out his work if you need any advice. So the first one comes with this, okay? The same walls you had to protect you are the same walls blocking your blessings. You cannot fully give love or receive love with walls up. You're hindering the flow of love in and out of you because you're holding on to fear. You're holding on to anxiety. You keep replaying what you've been through rather than resolving and healing from it. And then the final part here is you've got to love with all your heart and hold nothing back. In doing that, you're going to expose what the other person is really about. When you hold back, you validate them holding back. And when you haven't healed, your vision is blurred. You can't see things straight because in giving everything, the other person has 2 options. And this is the last part I'll end here. Step up to the plate or get the hell on. And that's it. So on that note, I want to thank Brother Carter for being part of this journey for the last 5 months. It's been a blast. Make sure to follow, like you said, on Wrestling Rumors and everything on social media. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast. I'm on Instagram, JoshLopez94, at Josh Lopez Music as well. Make sure to support the TBD Wrestling Podcast. I want to give a shout out to my mentor, Jonathan Hood, who announced the other day that he's going to be doing the morning show now with my other favorite radio host in the city, David Kaplan. They got a new show called Captain Hood, started this Monday on ESPN 1000. Beyond happy for Hoodie. He is the best host in the city of Chicago, and he deserves the spotlight, so I couldn't be more happier for him. Also, Bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. Leave us a review, rating on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, all that fun stuff. The show's not going anywhere. Obviously, I'll be here as always to string you along through these weekly shows. And thank you, all of you again for the support. It really means a lot. We're 15,000 listeners away from reaching 200,000 on Anchor, and it's just absolutely insane. So thank you all for the support. It means a lot to myself and Brother Carter. This is a show about brotherhood, and it's been the last 5 months has been a testament for that. So for Brother Carter, I'm Brother Adam. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode 218 of the Hoots Podcast. And next week will be a preview show for NXT TakeOver 30 and SummerSlam. With that said, be the authentic product that is yourself. Be cautious for users out there. We're out. Peace.
Yes, sir.